Welcome back to the Mormon News Roundup, where we bring you the most pressing issues in the Mormon community. Today we're tackling a subject that's sure to spark discussion: Brigham Young University, or BYU. Specifically, we're counting down the top 10 fails of this esteemed institution. I'm your host, D-Vase, that's Talon, on loan from Kolob. But before we get started, by way of background, I earned 2 degrees from Brigham Young University Provo, and I worked full-time or part-time for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for 24 years. The majority of that service was as an employee at BYU. Let's dive in.
Let's do this!
You fail!
BYU has a troubling history of denying most Black students admission to the institution until 1978. This was when the church finally lifted its ban on Black men holding the priesthood. For decades, Black students faced systematic discrimination, and the university has been slow to address its racist past.
How do we reconcile with a past that is uncomfortable and unsettling? This is a question the Brigham Young University community grappled with during their conference on Truth and Reconciliation. Organized by the insightful Christopher Jones, this conference was an initiative to confront and address the uncomfortable truths hidden within BYU's history. The aim was not to foster a sense of guilt or blame, but to pave the way for reconciliation. To reconcile first, we must acknowledge, and this conference was a bold step in that direction. The subject matter was undeniably sensitive, dealing with topics such as race and slavery within the history of the institution. But it's through facing these harsh realities that we can begin to heal and move forward. The conference delved deep into the archives, unearthing unsettling truths about race and slavery at BYU. The research presented at the conference was eye-opening, to say the least. Independent historian Amy Tanner Theriot took the stage and revealed something quite unexpected. She shared her findings on the presence of around 100 enslaved Black pioneers in Utah Territory. Imagine that. A century before us, these individuals were living their lives, experiencing struggles we can only begin to comprehend. Their stories, their histories, were almost lost to time, buried in the sands of the past. But thanks to Theriot's work, we are now able to bring these forgotten histories to light. The conference also featured W. Paul Reeve, who delved into Utah's stance on slavery in the mid-19th century. Reeve reminded us that, while we may feel detached from this part of our history, it's essential to confront these unsettling truths head-on. Slavery, a dark chapter in our nation's past, was also a part of Utah's history. This isn't about blame or guilt. It's about understanding our past, the good and the bad. It's about acknowledging that these things happened and that they affected real people's lives. We cannot change the past, but we can learn from it. We can strive to understand and empathize with those who suffered. And hopefully this understanding can guide us in shaping a better, more inclusive future. These discoveries serve as a stark reminder of the need for acknowledging and reconciling with a racist past to pave the way for a more inclusive future. The path to reconciliation may be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. A sentiment echoed through the halls of the Brigham Young University as the community turned its gaze towards the unsettling truths unveiled at the recent Truth and Reconciliation Conference. It was a moment of reflection and introspection as faculty, students, and alumni alike grappled with the revelations of their institution's past. The conference, a deep dive into the history of race and slavery at BYU, was not merely an exercise in academic curiosity. It was an open invitation for the community to acknowledge these uncomfortable truths, to learn from them, and ultimately, to grow. The response was overwhelming. A sense of shared responsibility resonated across the campus, a collective commitment to not shy away from the past, but to understand it, to accept it, and to use it as a stepping stone towards a more inclusive future. This is the essence of reconciliation, not just coming to terms with our history, but learning how to move forward, together. This conference has not only impacted the BYU community, but also the broader Latter-day Saint community. It holds a mirror to our past, reminding us of the need to be more inclusive and compassionate. It challenges us to confront our prejudices and biases, to question our assumptions, and to continuously strive for improvement. And so, as we peel back the layers of our history, we are not only uncovering truths about our past, but also revealing a path towards a better future. A future where every voice is heard, where every story is acknowledged, where every person, regardless of their race or background, is treated with dignity and respect. As we grapple with our past, we move closer to a future that is more inclusive, compassionate, and reconciled.
You fail!
BYU has long been criticized for its treatment of LGBTQ+ students. From conversion therapy practices in the past to current policies that ostracize and punish gay students, the university has created an unsafe environment for many. The recent honor code change and its ambiguous language regarding homosexual behavior have only added to the confusion and fear among the gay student population.
Have you ever wondered how a simple act of illumination could spark a profound conversation? Picture this. It's March 2021, and former Brigham Young University student David Sant witnesses a spectacle. The Y, a mountainous icon above the BYU campus, is awash in a vibrant display of rainbow colors. This act, a dazzling array of hues against the night sky, ignites a significant dialogue about the experiences of LGBTQ+ students at religious institutions. And this illumination, my friends, was more than just a display of colors. It was a beacon of change. Change, they say, is the only constant. But what happens when change brings about a wave of uncertainty? Take, for instance, the transformation of BYU's honor code. This modification, which touched upon the subject of LGBTQ+ relationships, sent ripples through the community. It was a change that was as welcome as it was unexpected, a beacon of hope for many who sought acceptance and understanding. However, as the sun set on the day of the announcement, the community found itself veiled in a fog of confusion. The reactions, much like the emotions that stirred within individuals, were mixed. Excitement clashed with apprehension. Relief wrestled with uncertainty. Questions began to surface, probing the depths of this change. What did it truly mean? How would it impact the dynamics within the community? Would it be a stepping stone towards inclusivity, or just a gesture of appeasement? The honor code changes, a beacon of hope for some, became a source of confusion for others. Words can inspire, but they can also incite. Let's take a moment to reflect on a speech that echoed through the halls of Brigham Young University. A speech by Latter-day Saint Apostle Jeffrey R. Holland. A speech that was not about unity, but rather a criticism of challenges to the church's teachings on same-sex marriage. The impact was immediate and profound. The LGBTQ+ community at BYU, already navigating a complex landscape, felt the sting of these words. Emotions ran high, with feelings of alienation and rejection surfacing among many. The controversy was not just a ripple, but a wave, triggering heated discussions and polarizing viewpoints. In the wake of this speech, the campus was left divided and the conversation more heated than ever. When restrictions follow controversy, they often amplify the voices they aim to silence. This has never been more apparent than in the aftermath of the controversy surrounding the Y Mountain. As new restrictions were placed on access to the mountain, the conversation didn't die down, as some might have hoped. Quite the opposite, actually. The restrictions sparked further discussions, fueling the fire of conversation. They served as a catalyst, amplifying the voices of LGBTQ+ students at Brigham Young University. These voices, instead of being silenced, resonated louder than ever, echoing across the campus and beyond. They spoke of their struggles, their triumphs, and their unwavering spirit. These voices, once unheard, found a platform in the very restrictions meant to suppress them. In the end, the restrictions, instead of silencing, only amplified the voices of the unheard. A lighting of Y, a change in code, a controversial speech, and subsequent restrictions. What does it all mean? Through their journey, LGBTQ+ students at BYU highlighted the ongoing struggle at religious institutions, striving for acceptance and understanding. Their experiences, captured in A Long Way from Heaven, amplify the voices unheard, fostering a powerful conversation. The story of LGBTQ+ students at BYU is a testament to the power of conversation and the resilience of individuals striving for acceptance and understanding.
You fail!
BYU has shown a clear stance against ex-Mormons, highlighted by the disinvitation of Ryan Nielsen from a jazz festival simply because he had left the church. This move not only stifles diversity of thought, but also alienates those who have chosen a different path.
In the hallowed halls of academia, a professor's voice is silenced, casting a shadow over the principle of academic freedom. The case in point is Ryan Nielsen, a music professor at Utah Valley University who was disinvited from speaking and performing at Brigham Young University, Idaho, due to his public statements about his faith transition. This event is not just a single isolated incident. It marks a significant departure from the norms of academic discourse, a deviation from the path of intellectual freedom and openness. Nielsen, known for his dedication and passion for music, was not allowed to share his insights and knowledge with a community that once embraced him. Despite the widespread support from his colleagues and students, the decision to ban him was upheld by the university's president. The decision to ban Nielsen, a respected figure in his field, stands as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by those who dare to voice their individual beliefs. The response to Nielsen's disinvitation was swift and resolute. A chorus of voices rose in protest, each echoing the same sentiments of disapproval and disappointment. Colleagues and students alike rallied behind Nielsen, their solidarity manifesting in a T-shirt campaign launched in his honor. The T-shirts, emblazoned with a simple yet powerful message, became a symbol of the burgeoning movement in support of academic freedom. Observers of the situation were not silent either. They cast a critical eye on the university's actions, voicing their concerns about the potential repercussions on open dialogue and intellectual discourse within the hallowed halls of academia. This incident, they argued, was not an isolated event confined to one institution, but rather a symptom of a larger, more pervasive issue. The controversy surrounding Nielsen's disinvitation has permeated the academic sphere, igniting a heated debate about the extent to which free speech should be protected in educational institutions. It has forced us to confront uncomfortable questions about where we draw the line between individual expression and institutional prerogatives. The waves caused by this event have washed over the academic world, sparking a debate about the boundaries of free speech within educational institutions. The incident at BYU, Idaho is more than just a single professor's disinvitation. It is a reflection of the struggles faced by academia in preserving intellectual freedom. This situation is not an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of broader challenges that threaten the core tenets of academic discourse. When institutions of higher learning choose to silence voices that challenge established norms or question prevailing beliefs, they risk creating an environment that stifles intellectual growth and hinders the pursuit of truth. It's not just about one professor being denied the opportunity to speak. It is about the potential implications of such actions on the overall health of academic freedom. Imagine a world where only the voices that conform are heard, where dissenting opinions are squashed, and where questioning is discouraged. This is a world that impedes progress and stifles innovation. It is a world that fails to foster the critical thinking skills that are the lifeblood of academic endeavor and societal advancement. The bittersweet visit of Ryan Nielsen to the BYU Idaho campus underscores the personal impact of such actions. This was the place of deep personal significance to him, a place where he once belonged, where he was once heard. His farewell to the campus was not just a farewell to a physical location, but to a community that he was once a part of, a community that has chosen to silence his voice. The implications of such actions extend beyond the individual. They reverberate through the halls of academic institutions, sending a chilling message to those who might dare to question, to challenge, to think differently. They create a climate of fear that can deter the free exchange of ideas, a fundamental pillar of academia. In an era where the free exchange of ideas is more critical than ever, the story of Ryan Nielsen serves as a sobering reminder of the constant vigilance required to protect academic freedom.
You fail!
The honor code at BYU is notorious for being overly strict and out of touch with modern societal norms. It shames students for minor infractions such as facial hair, dress code violations, and even consensual dating practices. The code creates an atmosphere of fear and repression rather than fostering personal growth and responsibility.
Students protested at BYU this afternoon after a letter was released from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints church education system. That letter addresses recent changes to language in the BYU Honor Code.
It also clarifies the church's stance. Fox 13's Aaron Cox joins us live from campus where this all happened earlier. Aaron.
Yeah, Bob and Kelly, there's actually a few students still out here. If you take a look right behind me here, there are some students holding posters. They've been here since around 2 p.m. this afternoon. They say a lot of them feel confused because of a letter that they say was supposed to bring them clarity.
I feel like we've gotten to a place where we have a good rapport with some administration.
Josephsmith joined a student group called Restore Honor here at Brigham Young University. He's met with school administrators almost every single day and says he feels his voice is heard.
Now that this has been released, it seems to contradict some of the things that we've heard.
Smith is talking about a letter sent out this morning by the church education system saying the moral standards of the church did not change. A foundational doctrine for the church is that marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God. Same-sex romantic behavior cannot lead to eternal marriage and is therefore not compatible with the Honor Code.
It didn't seem to fit with the policies in practice as we've been told by administration in meetings. So I was very surprised and a little bit frustrated by it.
Students brought their signs and raised their voices at the Student Center in protest of the letter. Not all students see the changes as disappointing.
I love the Honor Code, but I also love all of God's children.
And for Smith, he acknowledges an administration that is willing to change, but thinks more can be done.
You need Jesus. You fail.
One of the most controversial aspects of the Honor Code is how it encourages students to report each other for minor breaches. This creates a culture of distrust and paranoia where students feel constantly surveilled by their peers.
When I was at BYU, I used to walk around to women who I know violated the Honor Code even by an inch, and I would throw a paper at them that would say, "You're not being modest."
Narc. You fail.
Faculty at BYU face significant restrictions on their academic freedom. They must adhere to church teachings and are often unable to freely explore and teach certain topics. This limits the scope of education and research at the institution, affecting both faculty and students.
One last topic I want to cover, and then I'll let you go. There was an article in the Salt Lake Tribune earlier this year that talked about kind of a crackdown at BYU. J. Reuben Clark came in, cracked some heads, started firing people that were way too liberal at BYU right now. That there's a little bit like this J. Reuben Clark time where they're retrenching, we're going more conservative at BYU. Can you comment on that?
It appears to me that what may be happening is that there is worry among the leadership in the church educational system about these processes we've been talking about, right? About disaffiliation among younger people, and a worry about like what can we do to address this? How can we solve this problem? Given some of the policy changes that have been happening at BYU recently, among these, right, we know the increased kind of strictness about who is hired, about questions asked in interviews, even to some degree about where the scholarship of people who teach religion at BYU should be going. There is worry among the educational leadership of the church that this process of disaffiliation among young people is largely an internal problem, which is to say it's something that is caused by and happening because of processes within the church. And then the way to correct it then is to teach the doctrine of the church more clearly and more explicitly.
We have no freedom, Kara.
You fail.
Despite the LDS Church being worth an estimated $300 billion, BYU has consistently underfunded its own research programs. This lack of investment in academic research hampers the university's ability to compete with other major institutions and deprives students of valuable opportunities. It short shrifts its students and betrays the church's lack of commitment to better this planet.
Researching, zero results.
You fail.
BYU has been criticized for its inadequate mental health resources, especially for its trans student population. The pressure from the Honor Code office combined with stress of academic and social expectations can take a serious toll on students' mental well-being. The university needs to prioritize mental health services and support for its students.
Now, the tragic suicide at the BYU campus this week has put a bright light on mental health. It's also raised questions about what resources are available to the students. Tonight, ABC4's Sarah Martin speaks with students and staff about the issues.
Students here at BYU are rallying to support each other. But some are asking, is the school doing enough to help? The site of the tragedy is covered in sticky notes now, words of encouragement and gratitude organized by the students themselves.
So while I think it's good that BYU is talking about mental health and they have a lot of great initiatives right now, they're talking about it within the terms of we need to love everyone. But to be honest, there are so many other factors why people commit suicide.
Allison Adams is an elementary education major. She has struggled with her mental health and has worked closely with classmates who have as well.
Right now, it takes weeks to get in to see a counselor if you sign up. And if you are suicidal in the moment, sometimes you have to wait hours to see someone that day immediately.
Following this week's incident, the School Counseling Center released a letter reaffirming their commitment to help students and saying that in the past 4 years, they have increased their staff by 2.
I feel personally frustrated because they're able to raise $100 million to get the new engineering building, but we don't have the funds to get more counselors immediately.
And that may not seem like a lot, but they're definitely working on that.
The Counseling Center is working on increasing their numbers, but it's a process, the school says, takes time.
How do we reach out to our students and take on that responsibility to assist them as they're going through their schooling? One of the things we've learned that's important is to communicate to the students where they are.
BYU is utilizing social media to inform students about the services available. They say in the 24 hours following the incident, counselors met with more than 100 people.
We have seen the feedback from our students online, feedback getting to our professors, feedback from our professors, and we know that this is an important issue.
I just felt like it took someone dying for them to really think about our mental health and to actually do something about it. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen after this when people have forgotten about the suicide.
Reporting in Provo, I'm Sarah Martin, ABC4 News.
You fail!
BYU has a troubling history of censoring voices that dissent from church orthodox teachings or the university's own policies. This includes removing articles from student publications, silencing student protests, and punishing those who speak out. Such actions stifle free press and critical thinking.
You fail!
Despite demanding strict adherence to the Honor Code from students and faculty, BYU itself has been less than transparent with its own finances. Questions about how the university allocates its funds, especially in light of the church's immense wealth and recent SEC fine, remain largely unanswered.
They are? God, they're such cheap bastards.
And there you have it, folks, the top 10 fails of Brigham Young University. What do you think? What did I miss? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more episodes of the Mormon News Roundup. And if you enjoy these episodes, please consider supporting the podcast by making a donation on our Patreon site. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. But before you go, always think celestial, and remember, no unhallowed hand can stop this podcast from progressing.
When it comes to nicknames of the church, such as LDS Church, the Mormon Church, to remove the Lord's name from the Lord's church is a major victory for Satan.
Satan.